I want you to close your eyes for just a moment. Take a deep breath. Feel the air filling your lungs, feel the life force moving through your body. Now, I want you to think about money. What comes up for you? Is it anxiety? Is it fear? Is it a tightening in your chest, a knot in your stomach? Or perhaps it's excitement, possibility, a sense of expansion. Whatever you're feeling right now, I want you to know something profound. Your relationship with money is not what you think it is. It's not about the numbers in your bank account. It's not about your job or your degree or where you were born or what your parents taught you. Your relationship with money is, at its deepest core, a reflection of your relationship with the universe itself, with the divine intelligence that orchestrates every sunrise, every heartbeat, every breath you take. I'm going to share something with you today that will fundamentally alter the way you perceive abundance. These aren't just ideas or theories or positive thinking platitudes. These are ancient spiritual laws, hidden in plain sight, that have governed the flow of wealth and prosperity since the dawn of human consciousness. And once you understand them, once you truly integrate them into the fabric of your being, you will never look at money the same way again. You see, there's a secret that the wealthy have known for millennia, passed down through mystery schools and sacred temples, whispered in the corridors of power and inscribed in ancient texts that most people never read. This secret is simple yet profound. Money is not a material thing. Money is energy. Money is consciousness. Money is a spiritual force that responds to invisible laws just as surely as gravity pulls an apple to the ground, and today, I'm going to reveal 10 of these hidden spiritual laws to you. 10 keys that will unlock the gates of abundance that have been closed in your life. 10 principles that, when applied with intention and faith, will transform not just your finances but your entire existence. Are you ready? Because what I'm about to share with you has the power to change everything. The first hidden law, the law of spiritual reciprocity. Let me tell you about the first hidden law, the foundation upon which all the others rest. I call it the law of spiritual reciprocity, and it goes far deeper than the simple concept of giving and receiving that you may have heard before. This law states that the universe is a perfect mirror, reflecting back to you exactly what you emanate from the core of your being. But here's what most people miss. It's not just about your actions. It's not even primarily about your actions. It's about the frequency of your consciousness, the vibrational signature of your soul. Think about it this way. Imagine the universe as an infinite ocean of energy, and you are a transmitter, constantly broadcasting signals into this ocean. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every belief you hold sends out ripples, waves of energetic information that the universe receives and responds to. And the universe, in its infinite wisdom and perfect neutrality, says yes. This is what you are asking for. This is what you believe to be true. Let me show you more of this. When you think thoughts of lack, when you feel the emotion of scarcity, when you believe deep in your bones that there's never enough, the universe says yes and shows you more lack, more scarcity, more not enough. Not because the universe is punishing you. Not because you're cursed or unlucky or destined to struggle. But because the universe is responding to your request with perfect precision. But here's where it gets beautiful, where the magic truly begins. When you shift your internal frequency, when you begin to emanate abundance from within, when you cultivate feelings of gratitude and prosperity and infinite possibility regardless of your current circumstances, the universe says yes to that too. And it begins to orchestrate events, synchronicities, opportunities that match that frequency. I learned this law the hard way. Years ago, I was broke, absolutely broke. I had $17 in my bank account, bills piling up, creditors calling, and I was working 2 jobs just to stay afloat. And every single day, I would wake up with this crushing weight on my chest, this fear that I would never have enough, that I was destined to struggle forever. And you know what the universe gave me? More struggle. More bills. More reasons to be afraid. It wasn't until I hit rock bottom, until I had nothing left to lose, that I stumbled upon this ancient wisdom. I read a passage in an old manuscript that said, "As within, so without. As above, so below." And something clicked. Something shifted in my consciousness. I realized that I was the one creating my poverty. Not with my actions, but with my energy, my focus, my internal state. I was broadcasting lack 24 hours a day, and the universe was simply responding. So I made a decision. A radical, seemingly insane decision. I decided to feel wealthy before I had any evidence of wealth. I decided to emanate abundance even though my bank account said otherwise. I decided to give thanks for money that hadn't arrived yet, and I'm telling you, within 30 days, everything changed. Opportunities started appearing out of nowhere. Money came from the most unexpected sources. A freelance project here, a refund I didn't know I was owed there, a friend who suddenly remembered they owed me money from years ago. Within 3 months, I had tripled my income. Within a year, I had more money than I'd ever had in my life. Was it magic? In a sense, yes. But it was also law. Spiritual law. The law of reciprocity in action. Now, I know what you might be thinking. But I've tried positive thinking. I've tried affirmations. It didn't work. And I hear you. But here's the crucial distinction. This isn't about lying to yourself or forcing yourself to think positive thoughts while your deeper consciousness vibrates with fear and doubt. This is about genuine transformation at the level of your being. The law of spiritual reciprocity requires authenticity. It requires that you do the inner work to actually shift your frequency, not just paste smiley face stickers over your pain. It requires that you excavate the deep beliefs that have been running your financial life from the shadows, bring them into the light, and consciously choose new ones. Let me give you a practical application. Starting today, I want you to practice emanating the energy of abundance in every transaction, no matter how small. When you pay for your coffee, don't feel the energy of loss leaving your hands. Feel the energy of gratitude and circulation. Say to yourself, silently or out loud, "Money flows to me and through me with ease. I am a channel for abundance. There is always more." When you receive money, any amount, don't treat it as ordinary. Treat it as sacred. Hold it for a moment. Feel appreciation for it, acknowledge it as a manifestation of the universe's love for you. Say thank you. I receive this with gratitude and joy. More is on its way. Do this consistently, not mechanically but with genuine feeling, and watch what happens. You'll begin to notice shifts. Small at first, then larger. The universe will start sending you evidence that yes, you are abundant. Yes, you are supported. Yes, there is always enough and more than enough. This is the first hidden law, the law of spiritual reciprocity. The universe gives you what you give the universe. You are the cause, your circumstances are the effect. Master this law, and you've mastered the foundation of all wealth creation, the second hidden law, the law of sacred purpose. Now we move to the second hidden law, and this one is perhaps the most transformative of all. I call it the law of sacred purpose, and it reveals something that our modern world has completely forgotten. Money is not an end in itself. Money is a tool of purpose, a means of manifesting your soul's mission on earth. You see, before you came into this physical body, before you took your first breath in this lifetime, your soul made agreements. Sacred contracts. You chose lessons to learn, gifts to share, missions to accomplish. And woven into these agreements is a divine promise: you will always be supported in fulfilling your purpose. Always, the universe doesn't send you here with a mission and then abandon you to figure out the funding. That would be cosmic cruelty, and the universe is not cruel. The universe is love, and love provides, but here's the catch, the place where so many beautiful souls get stuck. you must be in alignment with your purpose for the money to flow. When you're working against your soul's calling, when you're spending your days doing things that don't matter to you, things that don't light you up, things that feel like soul death, you create resistance in the energetic field. And money, being energy, cannot flow through resistance. Think of it like trying to run water through a kinked hose. The source is infinite, the supply is endless, but the kink in the line prevents the flow. Your misalignment with your purpose is that kink. I've seen this play out countless times. People come to me and say, I'm doing everything right. I'm working hard, I'm being positive, I'm doing my affirmations, but the money still isn't coming. And when we dig deeper, we always find that they're living out of alignment. They're in jobs they hate because they're secure. They're pursuing careers that impress other people but bore their own souls. They're playing small because they're afraid of what might happen if they stepped into their true power. And the universe, in its wisdom, withholds the abundance because to fund that misaligned life would be to enable the soul's avoidance of its purpose. The financial struggle is not punishment. It's redirection. It's the universe saying, this path is not your path. Come home to who you really are. Let me share a story with you. There was a woman I once knew, brilliant, talented, with a gift for healing that was absolutely extraordinary. But she was working in corporate finance, climbing the ladder, making decent money but feeling dead inside. Every Sunday night, she would get this pit in her stomach, this dread about Monday morning. And despite making a good salary, she was always broke. Always. The money would come in and immediately flow out. Like she had holes in her pockets. One day, after a particularly devastating financial crisis, she had what she describes as a spiritual awakening. She realized that her soul was screaming at her, using money as the megaphone. The universe was literally making it impossible for her to stay comfortable in that wrong for her career. So she did something terrifying. She quit. With no backup plan, no safety net, just in knowing that she had to follow her calling into the healing arts. And everyone thought she was crazy. Her family, her friends, her colleagues all said she was making the biggest mistake of her life, but here's what happened. Within weeks of stepping into alignment with her purpose, opportunities started appearing. A chance to study with a master healer. An offer to teach a workshop. Clients showing up seemingly out of nowhere, referred by people she'd never met. Within 6 months, she was making more money than she'd ever made in corporate finance. Within 2 years, she'd built a 6-figure healing practice, but more importantly, the money started to stick. She wasn't broke anymore. The hemorrhaging stopped because the resistance stopped. She was in the flow, doing what she came here to do, and the universe was free to support her fully. This is the law of sacred purpose in action. When you align your life with your soul's mission, when you have the courage to step into your calling even when it seems irrational, when you trust that your gifts are needed and that you will be supported in sharing them, the floodgates open. Now, I know what you might be asking. How do I know what my purpose is? How do I find my calling? And these are beautiful questions. Let me offer you some guidance. Your purpose is encoded in your joy. It's found in the things that make you lose track of time, the activities that energize rather than drain you, the subjects that you could talk about for hours without getting bored. Your purpose is also encoded in your pain, in the struggles you've overcome, in the lessons you've learned the hard way. Often, we're called to serve in the areas where we've suffered and healed, but beyond these clues, your purpose is found in stillness. In meditation. In silence. In that quiet voice within that knows, that has always known, what you came here to do. You have to create space to hear it. You have to get still enough, quiet enough, to receive the guidance, and here's a practice that will help you align with the law of sacred purpose every morning. Before you start your day, ask yourself this question: what would someone living their purpose do today? And then do that. Even if it's just one small thing. Even if it's just 15 minutes of writing when you know you're meant to be a writer. Or sketching when you know you're meant to be an artist. Or researching when you know you're meant to start a business. These small acts of alignment create momentum. They send signals to the universe that you're serious, that you're ready, that you're available for your purpose to unfold. And the universe responds by opening doors, creating synchronicities. Bringing the right people and opportunities into your path. Remember this, you don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to move in the direction of your truth, and the path will reveal itself as you walk. The second hidden law, the law of sacred purpose. Your money flows when your life flows with your soul's mission. Align with your purpose. And you align with infinite supply. The third hidden law, the law of energetic exchange. The third hidden law is one that completely revolutionizes the way we think about value and worth. I call it the law of energetic exchange, and it illuminates a profound truth. Every monetary transaction is actually an exchange of life force energy. Think about this deeply. When you work for money, you're not really trading your time or your skills. You're trading your life energy. The hours you spend, the focus you invest, the creativity you channel, this is your life force in motion. And money is the symbolic representation of that life force, crystallized into a form that can be transferred and exchanged. Understanding this law changes everything about how you relate to money. It means that when you undervalue your services, when you accept less than your worth, when you give away your gifts for free when you shouldn't, you're not just losing money. You're saying to the universe, my life force isn't valuable. My energy doesn't matter. I don't deserve to be compensated for what I give. And the universe, being the perfect mirror that it is, reflects this belief back to you by sending more experiences of being undervalued. More situations where your energy is taken for granted. More people who want what you offer but don't want to pay for it. Conversely, when you honor the value of your life energy, when you set boundaries around your gifts, when you charge what you're worth with confidence and clarity, you're declaring to the universe, I recognize the sacred nature of my energy. I respect the life force that flows through me. I deserve to receive in proportion to what I give. And the universe says yes and sends you people who also recognize your value, who pay you joyfully and generously, who understand that true energetic exchange is always fair, always balanced, always honoring to both parties. But here's where this law gets even more interesting. It works both ways. Just as you must honor the value of your own energy, you must also honor the value of others' energy when you receive from them. Have you ever noticed that when you begrudge spending money? When you pay for something with resentment or resistance, that money seems to create negative energy in your life? That's because you're violating the law of energetic exchange. You're receiving someone's life force energy, their goods or services, but you're not honoring the exchange. You're treating it as a loss rather than a circulation. I learned this lesson in a powerful way early in my journey. I was at a point where I was making good money, but I was constantly stressed about it. I would pay my bills with this heavy, resentful energy, thinking about how much I was losing, how much was going out. And I noticed that the more I focused on money leaving, the less money seemed to come in. Then I had a revelation. Every bill I paid was payment for something I had already received and enjoyed. My rent was payment for shelter. My utilities were payment for comfort, for electricity that powered my life, for water that sustained me. My car payment was payment for freedom of movement. None of these were losses. They were exchanges. So I started practicing something radical. Every time I paid a bill or made a purchase, I would pause, take a breath, and consciously bless the exchange. I would say, thank you for this service. I honor the energy that went into providing this for me. I pay this joyfully, knowing that as I release this money with love, more money flows to me with love. And something miraculous happened. My relationship with money transformed. It stopped feeling like a struggle, like a constant battle of holding on and letting go. It started feeling like a dance, like a natural rhythm of receiving and giving, inhaling and exhaling. And as my energy around money shifted, the money itself began to flow with greater ease. The law of energetic exchange also teaches us something profound about pricing and receiving. Many people, especially those with big hearts and generous spirits, struggle to charge appropriately for their services. They think that to be spiritual, to be good, they should give their gifts away freely. But this violates the law. When you give without receiving, you create an imbalance in the energetic field. The person receiving from you is put in a position of debt, whether they realize it or not. They've received your life force without giving theirs in return. This creates unconscious guilt, which often manifests as them avoiding you, disappearing from your life, or devaluing what they received. Fair exchange honors both parties. It allows the receiver to feel good about receiving because they've given something of value in return. It allows the giver to continue giving because they're being replenished. It creates a sustainable flow rather than a depleting drain. Think of it like breathing. You can't just exhale forever without inhaling. You can't just give out without taking in. The breath must flow both ways for life to continue. The same is true of energy, of money, of all forms of exchange. Now, let me give you some practical guidance for working with this law. First, assess your current pricing if you're self-employed or your salary if you're employed. Ask yourself honestly, does this reflect the true value of my life energy? Does this honor the gifts I bring? Does this feel balanced and fair? If the answer is no, it's time to make adjustments. This might mean raising your prices, negotiating a raise, or seeking better paying opportunities. And I know this can bring up fear. What if people say no? What if I lose clients? What if I'm rejected? But here's what I've found to be universally true. When you align with your true value, you attract people who resonate with that value. You might lose some people, yes, but they weren't your people anyway. They were energy drains, asking you to deplete yourself for their benefit. And in their place will come people who celebrate your value, who pay you joyfully, who create the kind of energetic exchange that feels nourishing and sustainable. Second, practice honoring others' energy when you pay them. Whether you're paying for a coffee or a car, pause and acknowledge the life force that went into creating what you're receiving. Thank the person serving you, bless the exchange, and release the money with joy and gratitude. This practice will transform your relationship with spending and, paradoxically, will cause more money to flow to you. Third, notice where you might be giving your energy away for free in ways that don't serve you or others. Are you constantly doing favors you resent? Are you giving advice to people who don't value it? Are you letting people take advantage of your generosity? These are all violations of the law of energetic exchange, and they're creating blocks in your financial flow. Set boundaries. Learn to say no. Recognize that your yes to everyone else is often a no to yourself and to the universe's desire to abundantly compensate you for your gifts. The third hidden law, the law of energetic exchange. Every transaction is an exchange of life force. Honor the energy you give, honor the energy you receive, and maintain balance in all exchanges. This is how you create sustainable abundance. The fourth hidden law, the law of vibrational magnetism. Now we arrive at the fourth hidden law. And this one unveils the invisible forces that either attract or repel money from your life. I call it the law of vibrational magnetism, and it reveals that you don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Every single thing in this universe, from the smallest subatomic particle to the largest galaxy, is vibrating. Everything is energy in motion, oscillating at different frequencies. Thoughts vibrate. Emotions vibrate. Beliefs vibrate. And money vibrates. Money, as a form of energy, has its own vibrational frequency. And here's the key, money is attracted to matching frequencies. It flows toward consciousness that resonates with its nature. It moves away from consciousness that doesn't. When I talk about the vibration of money, I'm talking about the energetic qualities that money embodies: abundance, freedom, flow, expansion, possibility, trust, generosity, celebration. These are high-frequency states of being. And when you embody these states, when these become your natural way of experiencing life, you become a magnet for money. Conversely, when you vibrate at the frequencies of lack, scarcity, fear, contraction, limitation, and mistrust, you repel money. Not because money is judging you, but simply because you're not a vibrational match. It's like trying to tune your radio to FM 95.5 when you're dialed to AM 670. You're on a different frequency, so you can't receive the signal. This is why affirmations alone don't work for most people. You can say, "I am wealthy," 1,000 times a day. But if beneath those words you're vibrating with fear about your bills, with anxiety about the future, with anger at rich people, with shame about your current situation, the words are meaningless. You're still broadcasting the frequency of lack. And the universe responds to the frequency, not the words. True vibrational transformation requires that you actually shift your emotional state, your energetic signature, your felt experience of reality. You must learn to feel abundant before abundance appears. You must practice the emotion of prosperity before prosperity manifests. You must vibrate at the frequency of wealth before wealth can find you. I know this sounds challenging, perhaps even impossible. How can you feel abundant when your bank account says you're not? How can you vibrate with prosperity when you're struggling to pay rent? This is where the true spiritual work begins. Let me share with you a technique that changed my life. I call it frequency anchoring. Here's how it works. You identify moments in your life, past or present, when you genuinely felt abundant, prosperous, free, expansive. Maybe it was a moment when you received unexpected money. Maybe it was a time when you splurged on something you really wanted without guilt. Maybe it was simply watching a sunset and feeling filled with the abundance of beauty. You take these moments and you anchor them into your body through practice. You close your eyes, recall the memory in vivid detail, and allow yourself to fully re-experience the feelings. You notice where in your body you feel these feelings. You notice the quality of your breath. You notice the expression on your face. And you stay with these feelings, amplifying them, savoring them, until they're imprinted in your cellular memory. Then, throughout your day, whenever you notice yourself dropping into fear or scarcity, you activate these anchors. You consciously recall the feelings of abundance, drop into them, breathe them into your body. You do this not to deny your reality but to choose your frequency. Because here's the truth, your current circumstances do not have to determine your vibration. Your vibration determines your future circumstances. This is quantum physics meeting ancient spirituality. This is the secret that mystics have known forever. Consciousness shapes reality, not the other way around. Let me tell you about a man I worked with several years ago. He was deep in debt, hundreds of thousands of dollars in the hole from failed business ventures. He was vibrating at such a low frequency that you could feel the despair radiating off him. Every conversation was about what he didn't have, what went wrong, why life was unfair. I taught him about the law of vibrational magnetism. I explained that his current vibration was ensuring that he stayed stuck because he was broadcasting lack every moment of every day. And I gave him a challenge. For 30 days, not one word of complaint about money. Not one conversation about his debt. Not one moment of dwelling in the frequency of lack. Instead, he was to practice feeling wealthy. Every morning, he would spend 20 minutes in meditation, imagining he was already financially free, feeling what that would feel like, vibrating with that frequency. Throughout the day, whenever he caught himself in fear, he would stop, breathe, and choose a higher frequency thought. It wasn't easy. The first week, he said it felt like torture, like lying to himself. But he persisted, and something began to shift. By the second week, he noticed he had more energy. By the third week, opportunities started appearing. Small things at first: a freelance gig, a friend who needed his services, a refund he'd forgotten about. By the end of 30 days, he had made more money than he'd made in the previous 6 months. But more significantly, he had fundamentally altered his vibrational set point. He had proved to himself that he could choose his frequency regardless of circumstances. And from that new vibrational baseline, his entire financial reality began to reorganize itself. Within a year, his debt was paid off. Within 2 years, he was a millionaire. I'm not exaggerating. The transformation was that profound, that complete. Because he had mastered the law of vibrational magnetism. Now, I want to give you some practical ways to raise your vibration right now, today, in this moment. These are techniques you can use immediately to start shifting your frequency. First, practice gratitude relentlessly. Gratitude is one of the highest vibrational frequencies you can embody, and it's instantly available to you. No matter what your circumstances, there are things to be grateful for. Your breath. Your heartbeat. The fact that you're alive, aware, capable of growth and change. Start a gratitude practice where you list 10 things you're grateful for every morning. Feel the gratitude, don't just recite words. Second, surround yourself with beauty. Beauty raises your vibration. Whether it's music that moves you, art that inspires you, nature that awes you, or simply organizing your space so it feels pleasing, beauty is a vibrational elevator. Don't wait until you're wealthy to bring beauty into your life. Bring beauty in now, with whatever resources you have. Third, be mindful of what you consume, and I don't just mean food. I mean the content you watch, the conversations you have, the social media you scroll. Every input affects your vibration. If you're consuming content that makes you feel anxious, envious, angry, or inadequate, you're lowering your frequency. Choose inputs that elevate you. Fourth, move your body. Physical movement shifts energy. When you're stuck in a low vibration, when you're spiraling in fear or worry, get up and move. Dance, run, do yoga, go for a walk. Movement interrupts the pattern and creates space for a higher frequency to emerge. Fifth, give. This might seem counterintuitive when you're struggling financially, but giving is a high-frequency act. It says to the universe, I have more than enough. I am abundant enough to share. Give what you can, even if it's small. Give with joy, not martyrdom. And watch how the universe responds to the vibration of generosity. The fourth hidden law, the law of vibrational magnetism. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Become a vibrational match for the abundance you desire, and the abundance must come. Its law, the fifth hidden law, the law of sacred circulation. We now enter the territory of the fifth hidden law, and this one liberates us from one of the most destructive money myths in our culture. I call it the law of sacred circulation, and it teaches that money is not meant to be hoarded. It's meant to flow. In our modern world, we've been taught to save, accumulate, hoard, stockpile. We've been taught that security comes from building big reserves, from clutching tightly to what we have. And while I'm not against saving or planning for the future, I want you to understand something crucial. When money stops moving, it stops living. Money is like water. Water that flows is fresh, clean, life-giving. Water that stagnates becomes toxic, breeding disease. The same is true of money. Money that circulates creates vitality, abundance, opportunity for everyone it touches. Money that's hoarded becomes stagnant energy, creating poverty consciousness in the one who hoards it and deprivation in the world that needs it. The law of sacred circulation states that the more you allow money to flow through you, the more money can flow to you. You must be a channel, not a dam. You must be an open system, receiving and giving, inhaling and exhaling, in a natural, healthy rhythm. Now, I want to be very clear here because this law is often misunderstood. I'm not saying you should be reckless with money. I'm not saying you shouldn't save or invest or plan. What I'm saying is that the energy with which you hold money matters profoundly. If you're saving from fear, if you're accumulating from a belief in scarcity, if you're clutching your money with white knuckles because you're terrified of not having enough, you're stopping the flow. You're creating stagnation. And paradoxically, you're actually creating the very scarcity you fear. But if you're saving from wisdom, if you're investing from a place of stewardship, if you're holding money with an open hand, knowing that it's flowing to you and through you in perfect timing, then you're honoring the circulation. You're allowing the river to flow while also creating reservoirs that ensure ongoing flow. The difference is subtle but crucial. It's the difference between faith and fear, between trust and control, between abundance consciousness and scarcity consciousness. I want to share with you one of the most powerful teachings I've ever received about circulation. It came from an elder, a woman who had lived a long life of both poverty and wealth, and she told me this: money is like love. The more you give it away freely, the more it multiplies. The more you hoard it fearfully, the more it dies. This hit me like lightning, because I realized I had been treating money like a finite resource, something I had to protect and guard. I had been living in scarcity consciousness, always worried there wouldn't be enough, always trying to hold on tighter, but money isn't finite. In a universe of infinite energy, in a quantum field of unlimited potential, there is no such thing as not enough. The only scarcity is in our consciousness, in our beliefs, in our failure to trust the sacred circulation. So I made a radical decision. I decided to practice circulation consciously, deliberately. I decided to become a river instead of a dam. I started tithing, giving 10% of all income to sources of spiritual nourishment, to people and organizations that fed my soul. And I didn't give from obligation or guilt. I gave from joy, from gratitude, from a desire to participate in the flow of abundance. I also started giving spontaneously, whenever I felt moved. If I saw someone in need and felt called to help, I helped. If I wanted to buy someone a gift for no reason, I bought it. If I felt inspired to leave a generous tip, I left it. I stopped calculating and analyzing every expense. I started trusting the flow, and you know what happened? The money started flowing back to me in ways that defied logic. Opportunities appeared. Unexpected income arrived. Things I needed were given to me. The more I gave, the more I received. Not because I was giving to get, but because I had aligned myself with the law of sacred circulation. There's a beautiful passage in ancient texts that says, "Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together and running over, will be poured into your lap." This isn't just spiritual poetry. This is spiritual physics. This is how the universe works. When you give freely, you're sending a signal to the universe that you trust in abundance. You're declaring that you believe there's more where that came from. You're affirming that you're not operating from scarcity but from overflow. And the universe, being the mirror that it is, reflects that belief back to you by sending more. But here's where many people get confused. They try to use giving as a strategy to get. They give with the expectation of return, with a mental calculator running, keeping score. I gave this much, so the universe owes me that much. This isn't circulation. This is manipulation. And it doesn't work because the energy is all wrong. True circulation happens when you give for the joy of giving. When you give because you're overflowing. When you give because you recognize that everything you have is already a gift and you're simply passing it along. This is the energy that opens the floodgates. Let me give you a framework for practicing sacred circulation in your life. I call it the 3 flows. The first flow is the flow of gratitude. Every time money comes to you, pause and give thanks. Acknowledge it as a gift from the universe, a manifestation of divine support. Don't take it for granted. Don't treat it as ordinary. Receive it with reverence. The second flow is the flow of purpose. When you spend money or invest money or save money, do it with intention. Ask yourself, does this align with my values? Does this serve my purpose? Does this create more life, more beauty, more good in the world? Let your money be an extension of your values, flowing in directions that matter to you. The third flow is the flow of generosity. Give regularly, joyfully, spontaneously. Create a practice of tithing or donating a percentage of your income. But also stay open to spontaneous giving, to those moments when you feel moved to contribute, to help, to support. Trust those impulses. They're the universe inviting you to participate in circulation. When you practice these three flows consistently, you become a conduit for abundance. You become someone through whom money loves to move because it knows it won't get stuck, it won't get hoarded, it won't stagnate. It will be honored, used wisely, and passed along, creating good as it goes. And here's the beautiful paradox: the more you release your grip on money, the more money you attract. The more you're willing to let it flow out, the more it flows in. Because you've aligned yourself with the fundamental nature of abundance, which is circulation, movement, flow, the fifth hidden law, the law of sacred circulation. Money is meant to flow, not stagnate. Be a channel, not a dam. Give freely, receive joyfully, and trust the eternal circulation of abundance, the sixth hidden law, the law of consciousness investment. Now we come to the sixth hidden law. And this one reveals a truth that will radically alter how you spend your time and direct your attention. I call it the law of consciousness investment, and it states that where your consciousness goes, your money flows. Most people have this backwards. They think money creates consciousness, that wealth creates awareness, that once they have enough money, then they'll be able to think about higher things, develop themselves, evolve spiritually. But this is the great inversion, the lie that keeps people trapped in financial struggle. The truth is the opposite. Consciousness creates money. Your level of awareness, your depth of understanding, your capacity for complex thinking, your emotional intelligence, your spiritual development, these are what determine your financial reality. You don't need money to develop consciousness. You need consciousness to attract money. Think about it. Every single wealthy person, those who created their wealth rather than inherited it, invested heavily in their consciousness before the money came. They read voraciously. They studied intensely. They sought mentors. They attended seminars. They expanded their minds. They challenged their beliefs. They grew themselves, and as their consciousness expanded, their ability to create value expanded. As their awareness deepened, their capacity to see opportunities deepened. As their thinking became more sophisticated, their strategies became more sophisticated. And the money followed the consciousness like a shadow follows the body. This is the law of consciousness investment in action. Your external wealth will never exceed your internal wealth. Your bank account will never consistently exceed your consciousness account. You might win the lottery, you might inherit money, you might temporarily come into wealth through luck, but if your consciousness hasn't grown to match that wealth, you will lose it. Every time. Because you haven't invested in the consciousness required to maintain it. There are countless stories of lottery winners who end up broke within a few years. Countless stories of people who receive large inheritances and squander them. Why? Because wealth without consciousness is like a flower without roots. It can't sustain itself, but the inverse is also true, and this is the hopeful, empowering truth. When you invest in your consciousness, when you dedicate yourself to growth and learning and evolution, the money must eventually come. It has to. Because you're creating the internal conditions that make wealth inevitable. Let me tell you about my own journey with this law. There was a period in my life when I was obsessed with making money. I was working constantly, hustling, grinding, doing all the things I thought you were supposed to do. But I wasn't investing in myself. I wasn't reading books that expanded my mind. I wasn't seeking wisdom. I wasn't developing my consciousness. I was just running on the hamster wheel, faster and faster, going nowhere. And you know what? The money was mediocre at best. I was making enough to survive, but never enough to thrive. I was stuck at a certain ceiling, and no amount of hard work could break through it. Then I made a decision that seemed crazy at the time. I decided to invest a significant portion of my limited income into my own development. I bought books I couldn't afford. I signed up for courses that stretched my budget. I hired coaches and mentors. I attended retreats and workshops. I was investing in consciousness with money I didn't really have to spare. People thought I was insane. You can barely pay your bills, and you're spending money on books and courses? That's irresponsible. But something inside me knew this was the path. Something told me that if I invested in my mind, if I upgraded my consciousness, the money would follow, and it did. Within 6 months of serious consciousness investment, my income had doubled. Within a year, it had quintupled. Within 2 years, I was making more money than I'd ever imagined possible. And it wasn't because I was working harder. I was actually working less. It was because I was thinking differently. I was seeing differently. I was being different. My consciousness had expanded to the point where I could perceive opportunities that were invisible before. I could create value at a higher level. I could solve more complex problems. I could serve more people more effectively. And the money was simply the natural result of that expanded consciousness. This is what I want you to understand. Every dollar you invest in your consciousness is the highest return investment you can possibly make. A book that changes your thinking might be $20, but it could lead to $1 million idea. A course that expands your skills might be $2,000, but it could create a $200,000 income stream. A mentor who elevates your awareness might be $20,000. But they could save you 20 years of trial and error. The return on investment in consciousness is infinite. Because consciousness is the source of all wealth. Now, let me be specific about what I mean by investing in consciousness. Because this isn't just about buying books or taking courses, though those can be part of it. Investing in consciousness means reading books that challenge your thinking, that expose you to new ideas, that expand your understanding of yourself and the world. Not just business books or self-help books, but philosophy, psychology, spirituality, science, history, great literature. All knowledge is interconnected, and the more you know, the more dots you can connect, seeking mentors and teachers who are where you want to be, who have the consciousness you're aspiring to. This might mean hiring coaches, joining masterminds, or simply reaching out to people you admire and asking if you can learn from them. The wisdom of someone 10 steps ahead of you is priceless. Attending events, workshops, retreats, seminars where you're surrounded by people who are also committed to growth. The collective field of consciousness at these gatherings accelerates your evolution in ways that solitary study cannot. Practicing meditation, contemplation, self-inquiry, inner work. This is perhaps the most important investment of all, because this is where you dismantle the limiting beliefs and unconscious patterns that have been running your financial life from the shadows. This is where true transformation happens, taking care of your physical body through good nutrition, exercise, adequate rest. Your body is the vehicle for your consciousness. When your body is depleted, sick, or neglected, your consciousness cannot operate at its highest level. Physical health is consciousness investment, surrounding yourself with people who elevate you, who challenge you to grow, who reflect back to you your highest potential. Your consciousness is influenced by the people you spend time with. Choose wisely, creating space for creativity, for play, for activities that have no immediate practical purpose but that nourish your soul. This might seem like a waste of time, but these activities often lead to the insights and breakthroughs that create wealth. All of these are investments in consciousness. And unlike investing in the stock market or real estate, where returns are uncertain, consciousness investment always pays off. Always. Because you become more. You expand. You evolve. And that evolution is what attracts and creates wealth. Let me give you a practical exercise to implement this law immediately. Take out a piece of paper and draw 2 columns. In the left column, write consciousness investments. In the right column, write unconscious spending. Now, review your spending from the last month. Categorize each expense. Which purchases expanded your consciousness? Which were just unconscious consumption, buying things you didn't need, spending money in ways that didn't serve your growth? You might be surprised by what you find. Most people spend far more on unconscious consumption than they realize. Money spent on mindless entertainment, on stuff that clutters their lives, on experiences that don't nourish them, on food that depletes their energy. Now, here's the powerful part. Decide to shift your spending. Take even just 10% of what you're currently spending unconsciously and redirect it to consciousness investment. Buy that book you've been wanting to read. Sign up for that online course. Schedule that session with a therapist or coach. Join that gym. Attend that workshop. Watch what happens. As you invest in your consciousness, you'll find that you start making better decisions in all areas of your life. You'll find that opportunities appear. You'll find that your income starts to grow. Because you're growing. And your external reality always reflects your internal reality. I want to share one more crucial insight about this law. Many people resist investing in consciousness because they think they can't afford it. I'll invest in myself once I have more money, they say. But this is the poverty trap. This is the thinking that ensures you'll never have more money. The truth is, you can't afford not to invest in consciousness. Your financial struggle is a direct result of your current level of consciousness. If you stay at that level, you'll stay at that income. The only way out is up, and up means investing in elevation even when it feels uncomfortable, even when it seems like you can't spare the money. I'm not saying you should go into debt to buy courses or books. What I'm saying is that within your current means, there are consciousness investments you can make. Many of them are free or very low cost. Libraries are free. YouTube has thousands of hours of wisdom. Meditation costs nothing. Walking in nature costs nothing. Journaling costs the price of a notebook. Start where you are, with what you have. But start. Make the commitment to invest in your consciousness every single day. Even if it's just 30 minutes of reading, even if it's just 10 minutes of meditation, even if it's just one conversation with someone wiser than you. These small daily investments compound. They accumulate. And they will transform your life. The 6th hidden law, the law of consciousness investment. Where your consciousness goes, your money flows. Invest in expanding your awareness, and watch your wealth expand accordingly. Your external abundance will never exceed your internal abundance. The 7th hidden law, the law of divine timing. We now arrive at the 7th hidden law. And this one brings peace to those who are struggling with impatience and frustration. I call it the law of divine timing. And it teaches that the universe operates on a perfect schedule that often doesn't match our human preferences. This is one of the hardest laws to accept because we live in a world of instant gratification. We want results now. We want the money today. We want our manifestations to arrive on our timeline, according to our plan. And when they don't, we panic. We doubt. We think something's wrong, that we're doing it wrong, that the spiritual laws don't work. But the law of divine timing tells us something profound. There is a season for planting and a season for harvest. And you cannot have harvest in the season of planting no matter how much you want it, no matter how hard you work. No matter how desperately you need it, the universe is orchestrating infinite variables to bring your desires into manifestation in the perfect way. At the perfect time, through the perfect means. But this orchestration takes time. There are dominoes that need to fall. There are people who need to be moved into position. There are lessons you need to learn. There is growth you need to undergo. There is preparation that needs to happen, and all of this is happening behind the scenes. Invisible to you, while you're wondering why nothing is working. Why the money isn't coming, why you're still stuck, but you're not stuck. You're incubating. You're gestating. You're in the invisible stage of creation where all the magic is happening beneath the surface. Where the seed is splitting open underground before the sprout emerges into the light. I learned this law through painful experience. There was a time when I was absolutely convinced that I was ready for my big breakthrough. I had done the work, I had raised my consciousness, I had aligned my energy, I had taken all the action steps. And I was waiting. Waiting for the opportunity, waiting for the money, waiting for the doors to open, and I waited. And waited. Months turned into a year. A year turned into 2 years. And I was getting frustrated, angry, desperate. I thought I was being punished, that I'd done something wrong, that the universe had forgotten about me. And I realized something profound. When you heal your money patterns, you're not just healing yourself. You're healing your entire lineage. You're liberating your ancestors from the patterns they couldn't resolve in their lifetimes. And you're creating a new legacy for the descendants who will come after you. This is the power and the responsibility of the law of ancestral money patterns. You have the opportunity to be the pattern breaker, the cycle ender, the one who says, it ends here. A new legacy begins with me. So how do you work with this law? How do you identify and heal ancestral money patterns? Let me guide you. First, investigate your family money history. Ask questions if there are still family members who can answer them. What were your grandparents' beliefs about money? How did your parents handle finances? What were the spoken and unspoken rules about money in your family? What money traumas occurred, bankruptcies, foreclosures, loss of jobs, scarcity during war or depression? Write down everything you discover. See if you can identify patterns that have repeated across generations. Often you'll find the same pattern showing up again and again, perhaps a pattern of self-sabotage right when success is near. Or a pattern of being financially comfortable but never wealthy. Or a pattern of feast and famine cycles. Second, notice which of these patterns are playing out in your own life. Be honest with yourself. Are you repeating your father's pattern of working too hard? Are you repeating your mother's pattern of denying yourself? Are you repeating a generational pattern of just barely getting by? Third, practice ancestral acknowledgement and release. You can do this through meditation, through journaling, through ritual. Connect with your ancestors energetically, thank them for what they gave you, acknowledge their struggles, and then consciously declare that you're choosing a different path. You might say something like, "Dear ancestors, I honor you and I thank you for my life. I see that you struggled with money, and I understand that you did your best. But I am choosing something different. I am choosing abundance. I am choosing ease. I am choosing prosperity. I release all patterns of lack that I inherited from you. I break this cycle with love. And in doing so, I free you as well. A new legacy begins now." Fourth, actively choose new patterns. Don't just release the old. Consciously create the new. Decide what kind of financial legacy you want to create. What beliefs about money do you want to pass on? What patterns do you want to establish? What will people say about your relationship with money after you're gone? Fifth, be patient with yourself. Ancestral patterns are deep. They won't dissolve overnight. You're undoing potentially centuries of conditioning. There will be layers. You'll think you've healed a pattern, and then it will resurface in a new way. This is normal. Just keep going. Keep healing. Keep choosing. Keep breaking the cycles. I want to share one more story with you. There was a man I worked with whose family had a pattern of brilliant financial success followed by catastrophic loss. His great-grandfather built a successful business, then lost everything in the stock market crash. His grandfather rebuilt, then lost it all in a bad investment. His father created wealth, then lost it in a divorce. This man was terrified. He was successful in his career, making good money, but he was unconsciously sabotaging himself. He would make investments that felt wrong but couldn't help himself. He would create conflict in his relationships when things were going too well. He was unconsciously ensuring that the family pattern would repeat. When he recognized what he was doing, when he understood the ancestral pattern he was carrying, everything changed. He did deep healing work around this pattern. He consciously decided that he would be the one to break it. He would be the one to create sustainable wealth and pass it on to his children, and he succeeded. Not only did he break the pattern for himself, but he created a level of financial stability and abundance that his family had never known. And more importantly, he's teaching his children healthy money patterns, giving them a foundation that will serve them and their children in generations to come. This is what's possible when you work with the law of ancestral money patterns. You become a liberator, not just for yourself but for your entire family line, past and future. The eighth hidden law, the law of ancestral money patterns. You carry the money patterns of your ancestors in your cells. Heal these patterns, and you heal your financial reality. Break the cycles, and you create a new legacy. The ninth hidden law, the law of energetic boundaries. We're approaching the final two laws now, and these are perhaps the most advanced, most powerful. The ninth hidden law is one that protects your abundance and ensures its sustainability. I call it the law of energetic boundaries. And it teaches that your ability to create and maintain wealth is directly proportional to your ability to set and maintain boundaries. This is a law that many spiritual people struggle with because they confuse boundaries with selfishness, protection with lack of love. But this is a dangerous confusion, one that leads to depletion, resentment, and financial struggle. The truth is this: boundaries are not walls. Boundaries are not about shutting people out or being cold or uncaring. Boundaries are about honoring your energy, protecting your resources, and ensuring that you're giving from overflow rather than depletion. When you have weak boundaries, you become a leaky vessel. Money flows in, but it flows right back out, not because you're generous, but because you can't hold it. You say yes when you mean no. You give to people who drain you. You allow others to take advantage of your kindness. You discount your services because you feel guilty charging what you're worth. You lend money you can't afford to lend. You spend time helping people who don't reciprocate or appreciate it. All of this is a violation of the law of energetic boundaries. And the universe responds to these violations by limiting the flow of abundance to you. Not as punishment, but as protection. Because to send you more money when you have no boundaries would be like pouring water into a basket. It would just drain away, potentially hurting you in the process. But when you establish strong, healthy boundaries, you become a vessel that can hold abundance. You become someone the universe can trust with wealth because you know how to protect it, steward it, direct it wisely. I learned this law through painful experience. There was a time when I was making excellent money, but I was always broke. And I couldn't understand why. Where was it all going? When I finally examined my patterns honestly, I was shocked. I was giving money to family members who never paid me back. I was saying yes to projects that paid poorly because I felt bad saying no. I was constantly picking up the check at dinners. I was being taken advantage of by clients who pushed boundaries, demanding extra time and energy I hadn't agreed to give. I was spending money on things I didn't want because I felt pressured by salespeople or friends. I had no boundaries. I was a financial doormat. And the universe was limiting my income because I couldn't be trusted with more. I would just give it all away, not from genuine generosity but from inability to say no. So I made a radical commitment. I committed to establishing boundaries in every area of my financial life. And it was hard. It brought up guilt, fear, anxiety. I was afraid people would think I was selfish. I was afraid I would lose relationships. I was afraid of conflict, but I did it anyway. I started saying no. I stopped lending money to people who had a pattern of not repaying. I started charging what I was worth without apology. I started ending relationships that were one-sided. I started setting clear expectations with clients and enforcing them. I started spending my money according to my values, not others' expectations, and you know what happened? Some people got upset. Some people accused me of changing, of becoming cold, of losing my spirituality. Some people left my life, but those were not my people. Those were energy vampires, people who only valued me for what they could take. Their departure was not a loss. It was a liberation, and in their place came new people. People who respected my boundaries. People who valued my time and energy. People who reciprocated. People who entered into fair exchanges. People who celebrated my success rather than resenting it, and the money began to stick. For the first time in my life, I started building wealth. Not because I was making more money, though that came too, but because I was holding on to the money I made. I was directing it intentionally. I was investing it wisely. I was protecting it from those who would take it without giving anything in return. This is the law of energetic boundaries in action. When you protect your energy, you protect your abundance. When you honor your resources, the universe sends you more resources to honor now. Let me be very clear about what healthy boundaries look like. Because there's a lot of confusion about this, a healthy boundary is not about being rude, harsh, or unkind. You can set boundaries with love, with compassion, with kindness. You can say no and still be a good person. In fact, saying no and no is the right answer makes you a better person because you're honoring truth. That a healthy boundary is not about never helping anyone or never being generous. It's about giving from choice, not obligation. It's about giving when you're genuinely called to give, when you have the resources to give without depleting yourself, when the giving is mutual and appreciated. A healthy boundary is not about accumulating money for its own sake. It's about stewarding your resources wisely so that you can do more good, serve more people. Make a bigger impact in the world. Here are some specific ways to implement the law of energetic boundaries in your financial life. First, practice the power of no. Start saying no to requests that don't align with your values, that drain your energy, that take advantage of your kindness. You don't need to explain, justify, or apologize. No is a complete sentence. Or if you want to soften it, I'm not able to do that, but I appreciate you thinking of me. Second, charge what you're worth. If you're self-employed or freelance, stop underpricing your services. Research what others with your skills and experience charge, and charge the same or more. If you feel uncomfortable with this, that's your weak boundary talking. Work on it. Your discomfort is not more important than your financial well-being. Third, set clear expectations in all business relationships. Define scope of work, deliverables, payment terms, communication boundaries. Put it in writing. And if someone tries to push past those boundaries, firmly redirect them back. I understand you'd like additional work, and I'm happy to provide that for an additional fee. Shall I send you a new proposal? Fourth, stop lending money unless you're prepared to never see it again. Seriously. If you want to help someone financially, give them a gift if you can afford it. But don't lend with the expectation of return unless you're willing to enforce that expectation legally. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for resentment and relationship destruction. Fifth, create space between stimulus and response when it comes to spending. When someone tries to sell you something, when you feel pressure to buy, pause. Give yourself time. Let me think about it, or let me check my budget are powerful phrases that protect you from impulse spending and manipulation. Sixth, audit your relationships for energy vampires. Who in your life only takes and never gives? Who constantly has financial crises that somehow become your responsibility? Who makes you feel guilty for your success? Who drains your energy every time you interact? These people need boundaries. Firm ones. Possibly the boundary of complete separation. I know this might sound harsh, but I'm going to say it anyway. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You are not obligated to sacrifice your financial well-being for people who won't do their own inner work. You are not responsible for fixing, saving, or supporting people who refuse to help themselves. Compassion does not mean allowing yourself to be used. Love does not mean having no boundaries. Spirituality does not mean being a doormat. In fact, the most spiritual thing you can do is honor your own energy, protect your own resources, and operate from a place of overflow rather than depletion. Because when you're depleted, you can't serve anyone effectively. When you're drained, you have nothing real to give. But when you're full, when you're abundant, when you're overflowing because you've protected and honored your energy, then you can give truly, purely, powerfully. The ninth hidden law, the law of energetic boundaries. Your ability to hold wealth is proportional to your ability to hold boundaries. Protect your energy, honor your resources, and give from overflow, not obligation. The 10th hidden law, the law of surrender and divine trust. And now we arrive at the final hidden law. The culmination of all the others, the master key that unlocks everything. I call it the law of surrender and divine trust. And it is the most paradoxical, most challenging, and most liberating of all the laws. This law states that the ultimate secret to attracting and maintaining wealth is to release your desperate need for it. It teaches that you must do everything in your power to create abundance while simultaneously surrendering all attachment to the outcome. It reveals that true prosperity comes when you trust the universe so completely that you can say, whether I am rich or poor, I am whole. Whether I have much or little, I am complete. Whether my manifestations come or not, I am at peace. This is not about giving up. This is not about being passive. This is not about pretending you don't care about money. This is about the deepest spiritual maturity, where you can hold intention without attachment, where you can work toward goals without making them conditions for your happiness, where you can desire abundance while being complete without it. This is the razor's edge, the fine line that separates those who create sustainable wealth from those who struggle forever. Because here's the profound truth: the universe responds to your being, not your wanting. And when your being is desperate, needy, attached, grasping, the universe reads that as lack and sends you more experiences of lack. But when your being is peaceful, trusting, surrendered, complete, the universe reads that as abundance and sends you more experiences of abundance. Think about it in terms of human relationships. When you desperately need someone to love you, when you're clingy and needy and attached, you repel people. But when you're complete within yourself, when you know your worth, when you're okay whether someone chooses you or not, you become magnetic. People are drawn to that energy. It's exactly the same with money. Desperation repels. Trust attracts. Need creates lack. Surrender creates abundance. I'm going to share with you the story of how I learned this final law, because it was the most difficult lesson of my journey. I had applied all the other laws. I had raised my vibration, aligned with my purpose, invested in consciousness, set boundaries, healed ancestral patterns. And my income had grown significantly. But I noticed something. I was still anxious about money. Still checking my bank account multiple times a day. Still feeling a knot in my stomach when bills came. Still attached to every dollar, every client, every opportunity. I had changed my circumstances, but I hadn't changed my fundamental relationship with security. I was still trying to find my safety in money rather than in the universe, in my bank balance rather than in divine providence, and then I went through a dark night of the soul. A series of events that stripped away everything I thought I had built. A business partnership dissolved. Major clients left. Unexpected expenses arose. And within a few months, I found myself back near the beginning. Financially speaking, I was devastated. I had done everything right, followed all the laws, and yet here I was, seemingly back to square one. I felt betrayed by the universe. I felt like a failure. I questioned everything I had learned, and in that darkness, in that breaking, something shifted. I reached a point where I had nothing left to hold on to, nothing left to control, nothing left to manage. And in that empty space, I heard a whisper, "Let go. Trust me. Surrender." It wasn't a voice with sound. It was a knowing, a presence, an invitation from the deepest part of my being, or perhaps from the universe itself, and I did something I had never truly done before. I surrendered. Not in defeat, but in faith. I said, "Okay. I've done everything I know to do. I've applied every principle. And if this is where I am, then this is where I'm meant to be. I trust that this is perfect. I trust that this is leading somewhere. I trust that you are taking care of me even when I can't see how." And in that moment of complete surrender, something extraordinary happened. A peace washed over me that I had never felt before. A knowing that I was held, supported, loved, regardless of my bank balance. A certainty that I was exactly where I needed to be, learning exactly what I needed to learn, and from that place of surrender, from that place of trust, everything began to reorganize itself. Opportunities appeared that were better than the ones I'd lost. Income streams opened that were more aligned than before. Within 6 months, I had not only recovered but exceeded my previous income. Within a year, I had multiplied it several times over. But more importantly, my relationship with money had fundamentally transformed. I was no longer controlled by it. I no longer needed it to feel safe. I could hold it lightly, joyfully, gratefully, but without attachment. And paradoxically, that's when it began to flow most abundantly. This is the law of surrender and divine trust. When you release your death grip on money, when you stop making it your God, when you trust that you are supported by an infinite universe regardless of your bank balance, that's when the floodgates truly open. But let me be very clear about what surrender is and what it isn't. Because this law is often misunderstood, surrender is not passivity. You don't just sit on your couch and wait for money to fall from the sky. You still take action, still pursue opportunities, still work and create and serve. But you do it from inspiration rather than desperation, from joy rather than fear, from trust rather than anxiety. Surrender is not indifference. You don't pretend you don't care about money or that it doesn't matter. Money matters. It's a tool that allows you to live comfortably, serve others, and make an impact. But you don't make it the source of your identity or your worth or your safety. Surrender is not about having no desires. You can want wealth. You can set goals. You can dream big. But you hold these desires as preferences rather than conditions. You work toward them while being okay if they don't manifest exactly as you planned. True surrender is this: doing everything in your power while releasing all attachment to the outcome. It's the warrior's stance, giving your all in the battle while being at peace whether you win or lose. It's the artist's way, creating with full passion while surrendering the work to its own journey once it's complete. It's the gardener's wisdom, planting and watering and tending while trusting the seed to do what seeds do in their own time. Let me give you a framework for practicing surrender while still pursuing your financial goals. First, clarify your intentions. Get crystal clear on what you want to create financially. Write it down. Visualize it. Feel it. Set specific goals. Create a plan. This is the masculine, action-oriented aspect of manifestation. Second, take consistent action. Do the work. Follow the plan. Show up every day. Pursue opportunities. Serve your clients. Create value. Don't wait for the universe to do it all for you. This is your part of the co-creation. Third, release the timeline. Stop demanding that things happen according to your schedule. Stop trying to force the universe to hurry up. Trust divine timing. Know that everything is unfolding perfectly even when it doesn't look like it. Fourth, surrender the how. You might have ideas about how your goals should manifest, a specific client, a particular opportunity, a certain path. But the universe often has better ideas. Be open to unexpected routes, surprising sources, miraculous synchronicities. Don't get attached to your limited vision of how abundance should arrive. Fifth, practice daily surrender. Every morning, after you've done your visualization and set your intentions, take a moment to surrender. Say something like, "Universe, I've shown you what I desire. I've done my part for today. I now release all attachment to outcomes. I trust that you are orchestrating everything for my highest good. I am at peace. I am complete. I am whole right now, as I am." Sixth, cultivate trust through evidence gathering. Throughout your day, look for evidence that the universe is supporting you. Notice the small synchronicities. Acknowledge the little wins. Celebrate the unexpected gifts. The more you notice how you're being supported, the easier it becomes to trust. Seventh, find your completeness in the present. Don't postpone your happiness until you reach your financial goals. Don't say, "I'll be happy when I have X amount of money." Be happy now. Find joy now. Feel abundant now. Not by denying your reality, but by recognizing all the ways you're already rich, in relationships, in experiences, in consciousness, in life itself. This last point is crucial. The law of surrender and divine trust requires that you find your okayness independent of circumstances. This doesn't mean you're okay with settling for less than you're capable of. It means you're okay as a being, as a soul, as an expression of divine consciousness, regardless of your external conditions. When you reach this state, when you're genuinely okay whether you're rich or poor, something miraculous happens. The universe feels safe giving you wealth because it knows you won't be destroyed by it or by the loss of it. It knows you won't make an idol of it or a master of it. It knows you'll use it wisely, joyfully, freely. Because you're not dependent on it for your sense of self. I want to share one final story with you. A story that perfectly illustrates this law in action. There was a spiritual teacher I once met who lived very simply. He had enough money to meet his needs, but he wasn't wealthy by conventional standards. One day, a student asked him, "Teacher, you know all these spiritual laws of abundance. Why aren't you rich?" The teacher smiled and said, "Who says I'm not rich? I have everything I need. I wake up every day in peace. I spend my time doing what I love. I serve people who value what I offer. I have deep relationships. I'm healthy. I'm free. By what measure am I not rich?" The student said, "But don't you want more money?" The teacher replied, "I'm not opposed to money. If it comes, wonderful. If it doesn't, I'm still complete. The moment I need money to be happy, I've made money my master. The moment I need any external thing to be complete, I've given my power away. True wealth is internal. Everything else is just details." The student left, somewhat disappointed, thinking the teacher was just making excuses for his lack of wealth. But then, a few months later, The teacher received an unexpected inheritance from a distant relative he barely knew. Millions of dollars. Suddenly, he was wealthy by anyone's measure. And you know what changed in his life? Almost nothing. He lived in the same simple way. He did the same work. He served the same people. He was the same peaceful, joyful person. The money didn't change him because his identity wasn't wrapped up in money. He was complete before it came, and he remained complete after it arrived. He used the money to expand his service, to help more people, to create more beauty in the world. But he wasn't attached to it, and the student, witnessing this, finally understood. The teacher was demonstrating the highest form of the law of surrender and divine trust. He was showing that true wealth is a state of being, not a bank balance. And paradoxically, that's exactly the state of being that attracts and maintains financial abundance. This is what I want you to understand, what I want you to embody. Your worth is not in your wallet. Your value is not in your net worth. Your completeness is not conditional on your financial status. You are already whole. You are already enough. You are already divine consciousness in human form, playing in the field of experience. Money is just energy. It's a tool, a resource, a means of exchange. It can make life easier, more comfortable, more expansive. It can allow you to serve more people, create more beauty, experience more of what life has to offer. And there's nothing wrong with wanting it, with pursuing it, with celebrating it when it comes, but it's not who you are. It's not your source. It's not your security. Your source is the infinite universe, the divine intelligence, the creative force that breathes galaxies into being. That's what sustains you. That's what provides for you. That's what will take care of you no matter what. When you truly know this, when you truly trust this, when you surrender into this knowing, money becomes easy. It flows. It comes. It stays. Not because you've mastered some techniques or tricks, but because you've mastered yourself. You've mastered the art of being abundant internally. And the external abundance naturally follows, the 10th hidden law, the law of surrender and divine trust. Release your desperate need for money while still pursuing it joyfully. Find your completeness independent of circumstances. Trust the universe completely. This is the master key that unlocks all other keys: integration, living the laws. Now you know the 10 hidden spiritual laws that govern money. You've received the wisdom that has been passed down through ages, the keys that unlock the gates of abundance. But knowing is not enough. Wisdom without application is just information. You must now take these laws and integrate them into your daily life. Your thoughts, your actions, your being. Let me give you a framework for integration. A way to work with these laws systematically so that they become not just concepts you understand but realities you live. Start with the first law, the law of spiritual reciprocity. Every morning, set your intention to emanate the frequency of abundance throughout your day. Before you get out of bed, before you check your phone, before you start thinking about your problems, take 5 minutes to feel abundant. Remember times when you felt prosperous, when money flowed easily, when you had more than enough. Anchor those feelings in your body. Then carry that frequency with you into your day. Throughout your day, practice conscious gratitude for every monetary transaction. When you spend money, bless it as it leaves your hands. When you receive money, celebrate it as it arrives. Treat every dollar as sacred, as a manifestation of universal love and support. This practice alone will begin to shift your financial reality. Move to the second law, the law of sacred purpose. Dedicate time each week to connecting with your soul's mission. Ask yourself, am I living in alignment with why I'm here? Am I using my gifts in service of something meaningful? If not, what steps can I take toward alignment? Even small steps matter. 15 minutes a day working on your true calling creates momentum, and commit to this truth. No matter what your current job or situation, you can bring purpose to it. Find the meaning in what you do. See how you're serving. Recognize the impact you're making. Purpose isn't just in what you do, but in how you do it. In the consciousness you bring to any activity, integrate the third law, the law of energetic exchange, by auditing your pricing, your receiving, your giving. Are you honoring the value of your life energy? Are you allowing others to honor it? Make adjustments where needed. Raise your prices if you're undervaluing yourself. Set clearer expectations with clients. Practice receiving with grace and giving with joy, and every time you pay for something, pause and honor the exchange. Recognize that you're receiving something valuable, that someone else's life energy went into creating it, and that your payment is fair reciprocation. This transforms spending from loss to sacred exchange. Work with the fourth law, the law of vibrational magnetism, by becoming vigilant about your frequency. Notice when you drop into fear, scarcity, worry about money. Don't judge yourself for it, but don't stay there either. Have tools ready to shift your state. Music that elevates you. Movement that changes your energy. Mantras that redirect your thoughts. Beautiful imagery that inspires you. Create a daily practice of frequency elevation. Maybe it's meditation, maybe it's visualization, maybe it's dancing, maybe it's spending time in nature. Whatever raises your vibration, do it daily. Make it non-negotiable. This is your spiritual hygiene, as important as brushing your teeth. Embody the fifth law, the law of sacred circulation, by committing to a practice of regular giving. Decide on a percentage of your income that you'll consistently give away. Start wherever feels comfortable. 5%, 10%, even 1% if that's where you need to start. The amount matters less than the consistency and the intention. Give to sources of spiritual nourishment. Give to causes you believe in. Give to individuals who need support. Give with joy, not obligation. Give without expectation of return from the specific source, but with trust that the universe will return to you in ways you can't predict, and practice letting money flow through you without clutching. Save and invest wisely, yes, but hold it all lightly. Remember that you're a steward, not an owner. You're a channel, not a container. Apply the sixth law, the law of consciousness investment, by budgeting for your growth. Decide that a certain percentage of your income will always go toward expanding your consciousness. Books, courses, mentors, experiences that stretch you. Make this investment sacred, non-negotiable, as essential as paying rent, and create space for stillness and reflection. You can't integrate what you learn if you're always consuming. Read a chapter, then contemplate it. Take a course, then apply it. Seek wisdom, then digest it. Consciousness investment includes the space to let the seeds germinate. Honor the seventh law, the law of divine timing, by practicing patience and trust. When you find yourself getting impatient, anxious, frustrated that your manifestations haven't arrived yet, take a breath. Remind yourself that the universe's timing is perfect. Remind yourself that you're in a season of preparation, that invisible work is happening, that the harvest is ripening. Keep a journal of synchronicities and small wins. Document the evidence that things are moving, that the universe is responding, that your manifestations are on the way. In moments of doubt, review this journal. Let it strengthen your faith. Heal with the eighth law, the law of ancestral money patterns, by doing regular inner work on family patterns. Maybe once a month, sit in meditation and ask, what family beliefs about money am I still carrying? Where am I unconsciously repeating patterns that don't serve me? What needs to be released? And then do the work of releasing and choosing new patterns. Write letters to your ancestors, thanking them and releasing their limitations. Create new declarations for yourself and your descendants. Decide what legacy you're creating. Protect your abundance with the ninth law, the law of energetic boundaries, by practicing the sacred no. Get comfortable with saying no to requests that drain you, to opportunities that aren't aligned, to people who take advantage. Your no protects your yes. Your boundaries create space for what truly matters, and regularly audit your relationships and commitments. Are there people or situations that consistently drain your energy or resources? Address them. Set boundaries or, if necessary, create distance. You can't serve from depletion. Finally, surrender with the 10th law, the law of surrender and divine trust, by developing a daily practice of releasing attachment. After you've set your intentions, after you've taken your actions, practice letting go. Trust that the universe is handling the details. Trust that everything is working out for your highest good. Trust that you are supported, loved, and cared for, and find your completeness in the present moment. Practice gratitude for what is, even as you work toward what could be. Be happy now. Be abundant now. Be whole now. Not by denying your desires, but by recognizing that your worth and your wholeness aren't dependent on their fulfillment. This is the path of integration. These are the practices that will transform these laws from ideas into lived realities. And I want you to know, this is not a quick fix. This is not a magic pill. This is a journey, a practice, a way of life. There will be days when you forget the laws. Days when you slip back into old patterns. Days when fear takes over, when doubt creeps in, when you wonder if any of this is real. That's normal. That's human. Don't judge yourself for it, just come back. Come back to the practices. Come back to the laws. Come back to trust. Each time you come back, you strengthen the new patterns. Each time you choose alignment over conditioning, you create momentum. Each time you remember your true nature as a divine being supported by an abundant universe, you shift your reality. And know this, the universe is on your side. The universe wants you to prosper. The universe wants you to thrive. The universe wants you to have all the resources you need to fulfill your purpose, to share your gifts, to live fully and beautifully. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe expressing itself as you. And the universe takes care of itself. It takes care of all its expressions. Including you. Trust this. Live this. Embody this. And watch your financial reality transform. The sacred invitation. As we come to the close of this journey through the 10 hidden spiritual laws, I want to extend to you a sacred invitation. Not an invitation to believe me, but an invitation to test these laws for yourself. To experiment with them. To apply them in your life and witness the results, because here's what I know with absolute certainty, these laws work. They've worked for me. They've worked for countless people I've shared them with. They've worked throughout history for those who've understood and applied them. And they'll work for you if you give them a genuine chance, but you must be willing to do the work. You must be willing to look at your beliefs honestly, to challenge your conditioning, to step outside your comfort zone, to persist even when you don't see immediate results. You must be willing to change, because these laws will change you. They'll transform not just your bank account but your entire relationship with reality. So here's my invitation. Choose one law to work with deeply for the next 30 days. Just one. Don't try to do all 10 at once. Pick the one that resonates most strongly with you, the one you feel most called to explore. The one you sense will create the biggest shift in your life. Maybe it's the law of spiritual reciprocity. And you commit to emanating abundance consciously for 30 days. Maybe it's the law of sacred purpose, and you commit to taking one aligned action every day toward your calling. Maybe it's the law of vibrational magnetism, and you commit to maintaining a high frequency regardless of circumstances. Maybe it's the law of surrender and divine trust, and you commit to releasing attachment while still pursuing your goals. Choose one. Commit to it fully. Apply it consistently. And watch what happens. Then, after 30 days, choose another law. Work with it for another 30 days. Continue this process, and within a year, you'll have integrated all 10 laws deeply. You'll have transformed yourself from the inside out. And your financial reality will reflect that transformation, but beyond the money, beyond the wealth, beyond the abundance, something even more precious will have happened. You'll have remembered who you really are. You'll have reconnected with your divine nature. You'll have stepped into your power as a conscious creator. You'll have awakened to the truth that you are not a victim of circumstances but a master of your reality, and from that awakened state, you'll create not just financial abundance but abundance in all areas of your life. Rich relationships, vibrant health, deep meaning, creative expression, joyful experiences. A life that feels aligned, purposeful, fulfilling. This is what's possible. This is what awaits you. This is the promise of these laws, but the promise only becomes reality through your commitment, your application, your willingness to trust in TRY. So I ask you, will you accept this invitation? Will you take these laws and make them your own? Will you step into the abundance that is your birthright? I believe you will. I believe that if you've stayed with me through this entire journey, if you've absorbed these teachings, if something in you has recognized the truth in these words, then you're ready. You're ready to transform. You're ready to prosper. You're ready to thrive. The universe has been waiting for you to remember these laws, to claim your power, to step into your abundance. And now you have the keys. Now you know the secrets. Now you understand the hidden spiritual laws that govern money. The only question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you let it remain as interesting information, something you nod along with but never really apply? Or will you let it become transformation, a catalyst for fundamental change in your life? The choice is yours. It always has been. Your financial reality has always been your choice, your creation, your manifestation of your internal state. You've just forgotten that you have this power. But now you're remembering. Now you're awakening. Now you're reclaiming your divine authority over your life. And as you do, as you apply these laws, as you integrate these principles, you'll become a living testament to what's possible. You'll become proof that consciousness creates reality. That spiritual laws govern material manifestation. That abundance is our natural state when we align with truth. You'll become not just financially wealthy but spiritually rich. Not just materially abundant but soulfully fulfilled. Not just successful in the world's eyes but aligned with your own deepest knowing. This is my vision for you. This is what I see for you. This is what's possible when you embrace these hidden spiritual laws and make them the foundation of your financial life. A final truth before I leave you to your journey. I want to share one final truth, perhaps the most important truth of all. You are already abundant. Right now, in this moment, exactly as you are. You are already a perfect expression of divine consciousness. You are already whole, complete, enough. Nothing you achieve, nothing you accumulate, nothing you manifest can make you more than you already are. The purpose of these laws is not to make you worthy. You're already worthy. The purpose is not to make you complete. You're already complete. The purpose is not to prove your value. You're already infinitely valuable. The purpose of these laws is simply to align your external reality with your internal truth. To bring your material experience into harmony with your spiritual nature. To allow the abundance that you are to express itself in all forms, including financial form. You're not trying to become abundant. You're trying to remember that you've always been abundant. You're not trying to attract wealth from outside yourself. You're trying to allow the wealth that's already within you to manifest outwardly. This is the shift in perspective that changes everything. You stop seeking and start allowing. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop proving and start being, and from that state of being, of knowing yourself as abundant, as whole, as divinely supported, everything flows. The money comes. The opportunities appear. The synchronicities multiply. The manifestations materialize, not because you've become someone different, but because you've remembered who you've always been. So as you apply these laws, as you practice these principles, as you work with these teachings, never forget this fundamental truth: you are not broken and in need of fixing. You are not lacking and in need of filling. You are not less than and in need of becoming more. You are divine consciousness expressing itself in human form. You are the universe experiencing itself subjectively. You are infinite potential taking shape in time and space, and an infinite being cannot lack anything. An expression of divine consciousness cannot be separate from divine abundance. The universe manifesting as you cannot be unsupported by the universe. This is the truth beneath all the laws. This is the foundation upon which everything else rests. You are abundance. You are prosperity. You are wealth itself, wearing human form. Know this. Feel this. Live this. And watch your world transform. Closing words, my friend. We've traveled far together through these teachings. We've explored mysteries that have been hidden for millennia. We've unveiled secrets that transform lives. We've journeyed into the very heart of how reality works, how consciousness creates, how the universe responds to our being. You now possess knowledge that most people never encounter. You now understand principles that most people never learn. You now have tools that most people never discover, but more importantly, you've been reminded of who you truly are. You've reconnected with your power. You've remembered your divine nature. This is the real gift. Not the money that will come, though it will come. Not the abundance that will manifest, though it will manifest. But the remembering, the awakening, the return to your true self, and from that place of remembering, of knowing, of being aligned with truth, you will create not just wealth but a life of meaning, purpose, beauty, and love. You will prosper in all ways, not just financially. You will thrive in all areas, not just materially. You will become what you were always meant to be, a conscious creator. Fully awake, fully empowered, fully aligned with the infinite abundance of the universe. This is my prayer for you. This is my vision for you. This is what I know is possible for you. So go now. Take these laws. Apply them. Live them. Embody them. Let them transform you from the inside out. Let them guide you into the abundant life that is your birthright, and as you prosper, as you thrive, as you manifest the wealth that you deserve, remember, pay it forward. Share these teachings. Help others awaken. Be a light that shows the way, because abundance isn't meant to be hoarded. It's meant to be shared. Wisdom isn't meant to be kept secret. It's meant to be spread. And your transformation isn't just for you. It's meant to inspire others to transform as well. We rise together. We prosper together. We awaken together. So take these 10 hidden spiritual laws that govern your money. Use them to create the financial reality you desire. But more than that, use them to step into the fullest expression of who you are. The universe is waiting for you. Your abundance is waiting for you. Your destiny is waiting for you. It's time. It's time to claim what's yours. It's time to step into your power. It's time to prosper. You are abundant. You are wealthy. You are divinely supported. Remember this. Live this. Be this, and so it is.